Hello everybody, how is it going today? Okay, so I'm just kind of setting up here. Just give me 1 second here. I think I'm lagging a little bit. All right. $30, guys. Okay, all right, let's begin. I am good now. I'm just pulling up some stuff for you guys later. Okay, so welcome. It's been 2 days since I've live streamed here, and it was because my eyes were very fatigued because I got laser eye surgery. But now they're feeling quite all right, and I'm ready to kind of get back into the swing of things. So welcome, everybody. I appreciate you being here with me on a Friday evening. So Bitcoin has rallied an immense amount since the beginning of July here, where it's done about 20% already. And I'm going to get straight to the point today. You know, I'm not going to waste your time on a Friday evening. I'll try to keep it within 10 to 15 minutes and get what I need to say off of my chest. And then you guys could make the decision on what to do next. So on the weekly, for the first week that we have seen for a very long time now, okay, since pretty much the drop at $48,000, this is the first time where we saw a huge histogram tick to the upside on the weekly. We saw one right there, but of course that was a fake out, and then we just ended up dropping, right? I don't think it was even close to the bottom over here. But now we're getting a pretty gigantic histogram tick on the MACD, which says from a technical perspective that the bulls are converging towards each other on the fast and the slow moving line. And that alone implies quite a bit of bullishness in my opinion. Also, this candle right here, we've still got today, tomorrow, and Sunday, and we're about to surpass the highest weekly volume on Bitcoin since the major drop. And that's a pretty bullish candle that we have to admit. On the daily, it's trending to the upside on the MACD. In fact, it's steadily going up. There's no signs of it slowing down at all. Right? But keep in mind that the MACD, it's a lagging indicator, and you should never use it as the only reason why you're entering a long or a short. Often enough, when you see a MACD crossover, it's already happened. The rally already began. Do you see right here? Despite seeing a MACD crossover there, the rally didn't actually begin until there. So if you notice here, there's a big difference between when the lines start converging to each other, right? When they start converging, the histogram ticks. But the MACD crossover is a signal that a lot of people use to analyze long-term trend. But if you enter only at the MACD, you're often going to be quite burned. And the reason for that is because it relies on previous data. It takes the 26, and I forgot the other number, 26 and 12 or something. Yeah, 2 moving averages that they use, and that moving average relies on previous data. That's why it's called a lagging indicator. It's too slow to generate an instantaneous gauge of what's going on in the market. But overall, we're seeing that we're very bullish on the 2-day as well. See the 2-day crossing over finally. Huge momentum going to the upside. I did call a few days ago that if this ends up crossing over, we're most likely going to get a gigantic momentum to the upside. On the 3-day, we're just about to cross over as well. On the 4-day, we're just about to cross over as well, but there's still 3 days left. Okay, so another way that I'm seeing BTC is, of course, bullish divergence here. But, right, actually, you can definitely call it bullish divergence because these lows, the way RSI works is it takes the gauge of the bodies. That's where the calculations are made. It's not at the wick. So if you have 2 bodies that are roughly at the same places, but you have a much higher low on the RSI, that would be considered bullish momentum to the upside. So on the daily, we absolutely have bullish momentum right now. On the 2-day, we have bullish momentum as well. Very strong bullish momentum, actually. Especially here because it's still going to the upside. 3 candles later, which is actually 6 days, this 2-day candle was gorgeous, right? This one right here was really nice on the 2-day. On the 4-day, based off of price action, this candle, the Dragonfly Doji, was really powerful. Let's just see how much this retraced for fun here. I haven't done it yet. It looks like it's 786. Holy crap. Look at this, guys. Taking the Fibonacci range from here, this is just beautiful. I'm going to do a bar replay only until where we found the support. So based off of a bar replay here and just kind of isolating it to only here, check out the golden pocket region. We got some wicks poking down 2-3%, but that's where some major accumulation happened right there. So the bulls in the golden ratio zone, they proved to be very bullish and people were buying right around these ranges. And another huge reason for buying in those ranges is because it was the December 17th all-time high. December 17th is usually a very significant point of what happens in 2017, 18, and 19, but nothing in 2020 or 2021. So right now, there's two ways you can see this, okay? If you look at it on a lower time frame, for example, a 4-hour, okay, this is how you could see it. You could see this in a channel that's starting to form, right? There's no doubt about it. We're getting 2 points, 3 points there, and also 3 points right here. So it's arguable that that's a possible channel that's forming. Hard to debate against that, right? Another way that you could see this is on a higher time frame. Let's say you go to a daily. If you now go to, actually, let's say you go to a 6-hour. If you go to a 6-hour now, what you're going to see is that those are just wicks, okay, that are poking out. Even on an, let's see what happens on the 12-hour. 12-hour is beautiful, right here. You see 3 highs that are roughly the same regions, and everything above it is a bull-trapped region. And then now, you're seeing a higher low, right? You're seeing a higher low each time. So you can make 2 arguments based off of patterns. Is it a channel forming, or is it an ascending triangle? That would be really difficult to, hey, greetings, Leo Nitsuj from the Philippines. I like to eat lumpia sigsig, nalmaha kita, adobo, my favorite foods, some of them. So thanks for joining me, guys. I really appreciate it. So right now, we're trending at the 12-hour 55 EMA. This is a pretty nasty candle, okay? Not only is it a nasty candle, but the next one right now that's forming, it's also nasty as well. This strongly implies that 21,700 range is a pretty strong contender for our resistance. So now the question is, are we going to head right back down here? My answer is probably yes if I had to make a prediction. So because of that, right, I had some really nice trades. So the way that I trade, I want to share with you guys my $1 million trade that I made yesterday. And someone said to me yesterday, ha ha ha, you traded $1 million to make 10K profit. That's great risk to reward, bro. Well, I want to clarify for people that risk to reward is not how much, it's not determined by your position size. Risk to reward is determined by how much you can possibly win in terms of percentages or a dollar, right? Compared to how much you can possibly lose. So for example, yesterday, I'm going to share with you guys a lot of tips that's always going to help you succeed when it comes to trading breakouts, okay? So this is the breakout that I traded yesterday that was forming for a very long time now. I'm going to clear all of that up and let's see if I can find it even. Okay, right here. So this was forming something like that. Hold on, where was it even? It's all congested now. Oh, right here. Right around these regions right here. So the ascending triangle was forming right around there, okay? And we were also getting kind of a wedge shape that was coming to the inside here. So that breakout right there was the first long that I made, okay? That was a huge long that I played. And that one there, I'll show you guys it on Twitter. I ended up playing 50 Bitcoin to long it for literally only 1%. So the risk to reward on that particular, actually I'm too lazy to find it, but it's there on Twitter definitely. So the risk to reward was basically buying on this particular breakout right here, okay? On that breakout, risking actually only 0.5%. So I ended up risking only 0.5% with $1 million position, which was 50 BTC to make $10,000. Of course, I kicked myself in the ass after I saw it go up a little bit more, right? So that was a bad mistake on my part. But when you're playing that big, you just got to be happy that your RR that you originally played, you stuck to your RR, you made your profit, and that's it. So whenever you see a trend line like this happening, right, for a long time, and you're seeing an ascending triangle, it's in your best interest to probably trade the breakout or watch for it heavily. What you saw was this type of ascending triangle form right there, right? So that was a big play on my part. But the bigger play that I made last night was this one right here, where I bought 65 Bitcoins and I longed it at 21,700. And this was at 4 in the morning. So I played a $1.3 million position at 4 in the morning, right after the daily closed. And that one was a much bigger profit. It was also a 5-figure profit. And I played that guy right here because of this reason, okay? Because this was formulating kind of a pattern like that, okay? Kind of a pattern like that. So on the breakout at 4 in the morning, near 4 in the morning, that's where I ended up buying. Right here, around 4 in the morning, my position. And then Bitcoin ended up spiking up. I did not even come close to catching the top. I ended up closing around 22,150. So it was still a good 25 to 30K profit. So yesterday was one of the bigger days that I've had this year already. And it's all about playing the breakouts, in my personal opinion. So right now, if I had to make a prediction on Bitcoin, I think that we're going to end up falling down to the lower trend line again. It's most likely going to make an ascending type of triangle. I don't think that we're going to break above 21.7 for a while. I think we're going to end up hitting the lower region. So whenever this happens, for the people that are dollar cost averaging, you always got to wonder, okay? And by the way, I'm not sharing with you guys my trades to be like, oh, look at me like this, right? I'm sharing them with you so you can understand how I'm playing breakouts. And I just showed you 2 very clear examples of how Bitcoin was forming a pattern. And if you can identify these patterns, you can play these breakouts. And the reason why I've been liking to trade Bitcoin more than alts is because I don't have to watch 2 coins all the time. Bitcoin moves much slower than alts. There's also a lot less stress, I realized. Not only that, I don't like to keep a big amount on my exchange, so I can leverage within much more comfortably and play bigger positions, in my opinion. And I can manage the positions a lot better because Bitcoin moves much, much slower than other coins when it's not that volatile. For example, if I'm playing a $500,000 profit, or sorry, position size on Bitcoin, it moves 1 to 2%. That's a really great profit compared to if I traded an alt and I'm only playing 100K, it's got to move like 10%, right? For me to make the same type of profit as playing Bitcoin, playing 500K, that moves 2%. So it offsets itself pretty well there. So as long as you're catching these breakouts and these trend lines, that's the number one thing that I recommend that you focus on. Trend lines, they work great. Patterns conform all the time, but they must be identifiable, right? So you got to give it some time. And then when these patterns form, an apex forms as well. And then when an apex form, the bulls and the bears, they fight each other and someone always wins. You rarely see it break out sideways. They form an apex because the bulls are pushing up, the bears are pushing down, the lows get higher or lower, right? The highs get higher or lower, a triangle forms, and eventually an explosion happens one way or the other, right? This is why I highly recommend that you always try to hunt these trend lines that can form an apex, and you want to trade them. A lot of times, when you're at the beginning of a pattern like this is really premature, right? It hasn't developed much at all. But imagine if this coin, Bitcoin, ends up developing like that. As it develops like this and further, you probably want to take a risk over here to long it because it's an ascending triangle, right? The further we get into an apex and it squeezes, sometimes it'll go up and then come down, right? Sometimes it's just going to bounce right up. Sometimes it's just going to squeeze there and then boom, drop down. But either way, these patterns are incredibly profitable, and this month and last month, they've been my absolute favorite way to trade. So I hope that you can focus on it as well. So I predict that Bitcoin's going to get back down to around the $20,000 levels. So based on a lot of indicators though, we're definitely set to maybe break this, right? If you look at it from an Elliott wave perspective, Elliott wave says that this is most likely the 1, 2, 3, 4, and the 5. And if you take a look at the measured moves for each one as well, what it says is that the wave 1, that's an ABC where it makes a flat. Wave 1 was slightly bigger than wave 3, right? Or sorry, wave 3 was slightly bigger. Slightly bigger. That's it. Just a little bigger. It's a measured move. And then you take wave 3, and then you compare it to wave... I'm just getting this right here. You compare it to wave 5, and what you'll see is that wave 3 and wave 5 are literally identical. So this is one of the best moves that you could make. And because all 5 waves of these formed, well, there's now most likely going to be a retracement of the entire wave structure somewhere. I mean, it could be really bearish. And if it's very bearish, we're probably not even going to see higher than 236 sometimes. That happens. But optimistically, if this continues, if we break some momentum and go to the upside further, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we actually get to this range back there again. Now, my bias longer term, in terms of a few months, because of regulation, that's not even close to yet. There's no new money coming into crypto. There's lots of news about major companies getting liquidated and loans, right? Three Arrows Capital, Voyager, Alameda, tons Celsius as well. These guys are all getting liquidated. I don't think there's going to be a bull run this year, in my opinion. I think we're going to see further declines down to probably 12 to 14K unless something new and drastically changes with regulation or news and announcements coming into the market. So whenever you see Bitcoin rally, for example, when it rallied here, okay? So when it's rallying there to 22.5, and I'm carrying a public portfolio that I manage every single day and show transparently for my Discord group, when I'm up $7,000, I was literally up in this portfolio. Last week I was down -5. So you got to ask yourself, do you take the profit? Do you take some profit? And my answer is no. If you're managing a portfolio, you don't care about the 5 to 10% swings, because you may as well be a swing trader. If you're going to be shaving off near the top and then trying to buy a little bit more cheaper, I personally would not worry about it. For my big and main portfolio, I don't touch it at all. Unless there are major 50, 100% movements and very oversold on the 12-hour, on the daily, on the weeklies, then I start to manage it. But here, it's called hold and forget for a reason, and you want to focus on the 50, 100, 200, 500% gains, focusing on the all-time highs. Because the last thing that you want to do, like I have conversations with my friends, and they're like, oh, you should take some profit now, right? Then I say to them, if I take profit now, and it's not the top, I'm just going to be buying the same amount of Bitcoin back in, but at a higher price, right? So it's actually costing you to sell your position now and then buy back in later. Do you see what I mean? You're taking a huge risk. And even though it's going up and down, you're not swinging the positions and taking profit. You're focusing on this column. You're focusing on the all-time high. So right now I have about 1.5 Bitcoin in this portfolio. I now ramped it up to about 3.5 Ethereum. I started buying Elron, EGLD, and also Atom as well, Cosmos. So my biggest loser is Step App, -1,000. My biggest gainer right now is, of course, Matic, where it's up 46.2%. My regret is not buying more of Matic. I want to get to around 15 to 20,000. On my main account, I've got a lot bigger of a position than that. I have about, I think, 375,000 Polygon. So that's a pretty substantial amount, and I'm very happy with my average price. So if you guys want to take a snapshot of this portfolio, you're welcome to. I plan to grow this portfolio to over plus 280,000 when it reaches the all-time high again in 2 to 3 years. So FTM is great. I've done a lot of research on it, but it's not a coin I'm going to be adding to my portfolio, nor do I know a lot of top investors that are holding FTM from what I've seen, just them briefly talking about their portfolios. Like, just to reference some people, like, for example, Kevin O'Leary doesn't hold FTM, right? Who else doesn't? BitBoy doesn't. Altcoin Daily, they don't hold FTM as well. So I'm not a fan of it. I like to go for the ones that I really believe in right now. It's a great coin, but just not for me. So curious, what did you see that gave you the confidence that $1 million breakout trade wasn't a bull trap? Well, you don't ever know, Brad, right? The way you deal with bull traps is you can never really confirm if something is a bull trap unless you wait for confirmation forever, right? Like, so this is the trade that I took, and this is going to help you guys a lot, okay? I mean, you can play, trust me, this is a really good tip. So this is where I played the first breakout right here. I'm going to just isolate it for you right here, okay? So obviously this is a good breakout. You want to draw your resistance at a place that makes the most sense. If you draw it on the, for example, a 2 hour, where you want to take it for the bodies, right? The bodies, they average out. That's perfect. If you draw on the 1 hour, looks great as well, right? On the 45 minute, you'll see some bodies go higher. So you have to decide which time frame you want to identify as the resistance, right? So in my opinion, somewhere around here, that's where you start to take note of it. And then as it gets higher, you take the second range. So now you got 2 ranges of a breakout. So the way that you play breakouts is science. It really is. Let me explain to you guys. So the one way you can play a breakout is if this guy breaks outwards, you're just gonna buy it. You buy the breakout, right? Regardless of if it's a trap or not. What you do is you set your stop loss. You buy the breakout. You set your stop loss always for a little bit below. Let's just, for example, say we targeted, my position was exactly this right here. I took my profit around there for 10.5K the first trade. So then if it's a bull trap, well, at least you allocated 0.5% clearance, right, for your stop loss. Does that make sense? You can even go lower if you want. You can go for 0.25. This way you've protected yourself from a bull trap, and you have to take chances no matter what. You can never predict if it's a bull trap. Now, the great thing about your stop loss below the resistance is that, well, notice how this guy ended up going up and then it came down, but it went back upwards. 2 things, okay? Sometimes it just ends up going upwards and it never does a retest. Great. You set your stop loss low enough, you're in profit while protecting yourself from a major drop, right? You got your stop loss in place. And number 2 is that if it does go up and it comes down to around these regions to retest the previous resistance, that's now a support, then you've still protected yourself because your stop loss was lower than the previous resistance. That's now a support. So case 2, you still win. And then the case 3 is, of course, it ends up bull trapping where it goes upwards, then it comes right back down. Okay? So that's one way to trade breakouts. The second way that you can trade breakout is this. So the first case right here that I just showed you, that's by far the most profitable way to trade breakouts in a bull market. When it's a bull market, that retesting thing doesn't happen, guys. It just goes up. You're gonna see, if this is your first bull market that you saw last year, right? You saw how crazy coins were. In 2017, coins did thousands of percent. Last year in August, coins like Axie Infinity did like 2,000% in 2 months, right? So coins are insane. You play this way. Trust me, this is the way to trade breakouts, in my opinion. Okay? Now, the second way that you can trade a breakout, and this is the most profitable, by the way. The second way is less risk, but less profitable. So trading breakouts is all about how much risk are you willing to take on versus how much profit do you want to make. More risk, more profit. Less risk, less profit. More confirmation, right? More confirmation, less risk, less profit. Less confirmation, more risk, more profit. Does that make sense? Okay? That's how the 3 things relate. Profit and risk and confirmation. Those 3 things always tie into each other. Let me say that again. If you want to make the most profitable trade, you will take the most risk with the least confirmation. Okay? If you want to make a decent profit, you're going to wait for more confirmation, but it has less risk. Does that make sense? So the second way has less risk. Okay? Definitely less risk. So what you do is you wait for a breakout to happen, and then you're going to buy it on a retest. I don't like this way at all. And the reason why I do not like to buy on a retest is because the retest just may never happen. Do you know what I mean? It just may never, ever happen. And then you're going to miss out on it. Okay? So this way, it just may never happen. Some people only trade this way, but they have a high probability of winning because it's less risky. And once you confirm a bounce and a retest of that support, then it goes to the upside. So you have less risk. Does that make sense? And then the third way that you can play this is trading a breakout. You let this happen here, and then it must retest, okay? It must retest. So that's one confirmation that's going to give you much less risk, right? And then what you do is you buy on the breakout after the retest, after it breaks out above this high. So let the high form, let the retest form, and then you buy it on the breakout of the next one. And then what you do is you set your stop loss. After you buy at the breakout, you set your stop loss slightly below the previous high. Okay, and then you target wherever it is. Set your stop loss slightly below the previous high of this guy right there. So those are the three ways to trade. Nobody can tell you which one that's best for you. Personally, I'm a little bit more between aggressive and conservative, but I take only like high probability trades. I like breakouts. It's what I'm used to. I've seen 4 bull markets, and that's what I'm going to stick to. Because if you wait for these confirmation trades, like waiting for a retest, waiting for the next breakout, I'm talking about options 2 and 3. What it ends up happening is you get used to these strategies, and your brain is now wired to trade these setups. I want to make sure that my brain is sharp and I'm used to trading breakouts, because if I'm confident trading these breakout strategies, the first choice I showed you, because then when the bull market comes, no problem. I'm already ready to trade the exact same type of style. Does that make sense? Yeah, you're welcome, Bradford. So this is my bread and butter type of strategies of trading breakouts. Always set your stop loss for slightly below. You just don't know if it's going to be a bull trap, and Bitcoin or crypto in general is very prone to these types of bull traps that end up happening. But of course, the further you get into an apex, the further that the squeeze happens, the more likely the breakout is going to occur. You will get bull trapped. I get bull trapped all the time. Sometimes I'm taking like 4 chances on a coin, losing 0.5%. That's 2%. And then finally, the last one, I catch it. And that makes up for it, right? So that's my opinion. So, Keisha, it's really up to you. Course 2.0 is pretty good. I've got 4 copies left right now, okay? You guys should check out my Twitter. Check out my Twitter. I didn't even want to shill in here because I'm not here to shill to sell you guys things. But since you're asking, it's $13.25 discounted right now to $6.50. You're getting the full course version 2.0, all 29 hours of lectures, and course version 2.0 and second edition book, and 1 year to my private Discord trading group. So it's a really good deal. I mean, check out the video. I'll tell you why you might be interested in it, right? So, and you want to learn from somebody who's, who actually, first of all, I trade up to 7 figures. I've been in the game for a really long time, right? I've made over 7 figures as well, and I can teach. That's the most important thing. You want to find somebody that can teach you, that can explain things to you that's clear, right? Some people can trade, but they can't teach. So anyways, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. Holy crap, I've been talking for 30 minutes. I can talk for a long time, guys. So I'm going to let you go, and thank you very much for joining me this beautiful Friday evening here in Istanbul, Turkey. I hope that you have a great weekend. I'm going to stream tomorrow and Sunday as well, because in Turkey, it's a long holiday. It's a long holiday till Wednesday. So Turkey has a holiday from today till Wednesday. That's a long one. So thank you very much for joining me. Teşekkürler, everybody. Have yourself a great night, and make sure you're clicking the like, the subscribe, and the follow button, right, if you guys enjoy my content. And I'll see you for next stream. Bye now.